California, right? And so if somebody in Memphis say, why y'all bring this down? That's what happened. Because what they're saying is that there was really no such thing as the different kinds of red flags. It was just all red flags. You want to say BLOODS, you want to say PIRU, whatever. We thought it was all the same when it came down here. So that's why they say, why you bring it down here? But you saying, no, y'all didn't know about that. Yeah, because we put it all in the same pot.
Yeah, we on Boss Talk 101. Yeah, we gonna talk.
But more, it was before them.
Yeah.
It was more like MCA.
MCA, there you go. That's where I'm going. Yeah, you're right.
NWA.
NWA.
They was kind of promoting more,
the crib culture.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the only one we had with DJ Quick was the only one that we knew that was a blood when we were looking at it after colors.
And that was
when it popped off.
That was 1990.
Correct. So that's the only one we knew. So, and basically, when you get in there, and now, how do they facilitate the gangs? Because they new to it too. Talking about the people that
don't. You know, the inmates facilitate it.
Okay.
The inmates run it.
Because when you look early on, I just think about now you go in, they looking at your tattoos, they trying to figure out what gang you with. As soon as you get in, they stripping you, looking at all your identification marks. Okay, you with this group. Back then, with it being so new.
But see, like he said, they come up under a culture on colors and boys in the hood. So they're mimicking not real life, because real life ain't even really projected. You know, like I tell you, a woman told me when I was in Memphis, what do you feel like bringing this to our, PIRUs didn't bring it. Y'all didn't know nothing about Bompton, California. Colors and boys in the hood brought y'all this shit.
But you got to remember when you speak, you speak in knowledge, you speak in the facts of California, right? And so if somebody in Memphis say, why y'all bring this down? That's what happened. Because what they're saying is that there was really no such thing as the different kinds of red flags. It was just all red flags. You want to say BLOODS, you want to say PIRU, whatever. We thought it was all the same when it came down here. So that's why they say, why you bring it down here? But you saying, no, y'all didn't know about that. Yeah, because we put it all in the same pot.
Yeah, but it's still in all. Yeah. I couldn't have brought it, but it's white America that brings this type of, because before we've been doing this since the 70s, you never was exposed to it. But the media made it popular and you gravitated to it. And then somebody came or told you about it, probably wasn't even from us. You dig what I'm saying? So when you say, well, don't shoot the problem, let's shoot the solution. You know, it's media, and when you get into that, like you say, they start coming in, and everybody rapping this, everybody rapping, well, cuz this. Well, these are the words, but then I start repping something. You got dudes saying they from different hoods, never been to California. You know, so
and this is what I want to say about that, right? And I'm probably gonna be one of the most respectful guys you ever gonna talk to.
I definitely.
So, and this is what I want to say. Even though some of them guys ain't never been to those neighborhoods, you hear me? You hear me? They are those neighborhoods. True and true. Through and through. You hear me? When it came to Texas, right? We was already gangsters.
Yeah.
There was nobody more gangster than us if you want to talk about gangsters. We're like, what Project USA, we all the same.
Right.
No matter what project you're from, we all the same.
Right.
We just, like we say, grab a hold to the gang culture. Now my neighborhood, we didn't grab a hold to it. We didn't become CRIPS or BLOODS for the longest, right? We just represented our projects, right? And I like to say my nickname is Little Texas.
Wow.
You hear me? And I want to let them know, like, no, Texas is a square business, and ain't nothing realer than Texas.
And let me say this.
With all due respect.
Yes, sir.
What I mean?
No, and I want to say, it's funny that you say that, because when I was in Kansas, when I called you the other week, Kansas City, Missouri, I was interviewing Tech Nine and Black Walk. Black Walk did a lot of time, but Black Walk talked about when the BLOODS came to 55th Street, he named Tech Nine, and he said the biggest thing was he wasn't with it because he wanted to represent who he was, but a guy from it had to be from, I want to say from, if we're from California, I'll say that just to be clear. He say they came down, they moved to there, and he was offended. He said because they had their drugs and they had stuff they was trying to do in the neighborhood. He said, but they had already been hustling in the hood, so he was offended by the fact of them coming. A lot of people in the hood went to being 55th Street Bloods, but he was pretty much, his family was they had already a connection and everything else, so they wanted to exclude themselves from that, more so because of the fact of them, not only, they didn't want to be a part of something that wasn't their street. Like you're saying, and they were so into Kansas City, Missouri. So it was that for the projects, because I remember the projects being even the East Dallas, like I said, Doolittle, but Doolittle was Bloods. I'm telling you that right now. I knew that because I went up there. It was the 70s, 80s when I was up there. That was early on. But the thing I gotta say is when I looked at it when I was in Houston, Texas, I think I told you this the first time. I told Melvin this when I was in California when I first met y'all. I heard colors. And we beat somebody up right after the movie. We started banging. It was some Hispanics just walking, and blacks everywhere started fighting. Right. And we was repping something and didn't even know what we were repping at that time, but we know we felt something. Yeah, I'm being real. Yeah. And so we started chasing and whooping people right after the movie theater.
So we might have what we call the politics, not in line, right? But the gangsterism,
been there,
it's there. So like you say, when you say how can you represent a street that you're not from, and like we might not have the politics, right? Yeah. So we didn't know that we couldn't represent streets that we're not from. If they had told us, we'd named our own streets.
That's right.
But since they didn't say that, like I said, we might not have the politics right. But as far as the gangsterism and you saying, you repping this right here, they repping it.
They repping it.
They repping it. They might not have the politics part of it.
And then most states,
that's real.
Y'all repping harder than California. It's just like in Dallas. We got PIRUs out there, but they fish trap PIRUs from their projects.
That's right.
They not fruit towns. They not West Side. They not Campanellas. When you talk about fish trap, you know where they from. When you talk about your project, whether it's red or blue, it should be Little Texas. You feel what I'm saying? So the media has it twisted that you gotta be from Trey. You gotta be from 60s. That makes you, what they call it, we certified. What certification is it? You are, like you said, you've been gangsters all along. You dig what I'm saying? So you don't need me to facilitate you to tell you that, oh yeah, you in. Who in the hell am I?
Well, you got to think about it. In Texas, it's crazy with it because you think about it, they have 163 prisons here, I believe, and that's a lot of prisons, more than everybody. So they had to. They enjoyed the fact
163.
Yes.
Damn.
So that, you see what I'm saying? So they had to enjoy understanding. Oh, these gangs, and they benefited from that.
Yeah, that's. You understand
what I'm saying? That's how they kept brothers locked up in the prisons.
In San Antonio, you said the percentage of blacks is small.
Smaller than 7%.
Okay, that's like San Diego, California. It's, Hispanics, Mexicans, they come from Mexico, and they like 10 or 12% blacks,
Wow.
So,
yeah, we on Boss Talk 101. Yeah, we gonna talk.